Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's vOLTHA TST. Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is public and recorded. Will be shared live on YouTube, so please be mindful of the comments you make and information you share. First of all, a great achievement and milestone. Yesterday, after a lot of work, actually, we released the vOLTHA 2.8. That is the LTS release. We are in the process of finalizing the changes in the CI management to have all the tests duplicated for 2.8 and master. Effectively, we haven't merged any batch, so master is currently still 2.8. The tests look good, both hardware and BB-Sim-based tests. Scale for Deutsche Telekom Enter Telecom looks very good as well. There is a known issue in AT&T at scale. It's something related to the EPOL flows that they get installed, removed in an improper way, and that causes a race condition to happen, and thus a little bit of failing of AT&T at scale. Me and Matteo investigated this issue in the past week. We haven't really got to any conclusion. We saw some behaviors that we wanted to analyze and work on. Given that 2.8 is an LTS release, we will still work on this, make up a fix, and put it into the OLT app, release a new point version of that, and release a new version of vOLTHA, point version of vOLTHA Onus, and be done with that bug. Apart from that, all the other features that we planned for 2.8 went in. Tomorrow, we will have a webinar about 2.8. You can see the registration here. So if you're interested or you know anybody who is interested, please go ahead and give them the link. Registration is up. Last time it was just me speaking. This time is me, Theo, Girish, and Hardik. So all of us, so you don't get bored with my voice over and over again. And so that's kind of the state of 2.8. Theo, Hardik, Girish, anything to add?
No, you're good.
Okay. Any questions from you folks? Okay, then if not, I would like to start discussing the 2.9 stuff. One thing that we postponed from 2.8 was the Kafka to gRPC swap for several discussions we had in the past, but now is the time to do it. So I talked with Ken today about it, and I think he has a proposal on how to proceed in this matter. So Ken, do you want to just give us an overview of what your thoughts are on the next steps on the Kafka to gRPC swap?
Yeah, sure. Like, I guess a few months ago I did that migration, but that was based on the, I guess, 2.7 code base. So I will need to migrate all that. So I can't just do a rebase because there has been a lot of changes in 2.8. So my plan is to start first with the Protos and the library and to migrate those ones. And I will, in my original changes that I did, I make a lot of cleanup in the Protos and to make things like better, things that we don't use. But now that we have an LTS release, I need to be a little bit careful about to make sure that anything that is externally visible doesn't get changed. Only we change things internally. So I had to have to adjust the code base a little bit. So the plan is to make those changes in the Protos, the library, and also the core and adapters and the hand charts. and run them locally. And then there's a CI process that Andrea set up, so that we can run those test cases to make sure everything is like kind of working well. And once that happens, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to submit the Pro Tools and the library for code review. I expect changes there because I'm sure as a community will find maybe improvements, things that we can do better. So I'll submit those, and once those get reviewed and merged, then I will submit the core and the adapter code. I may submit them as a work in progress, but for review, it will be really once the Pro Tools and the library are merged. And then after that, it's just a bunch of reviews. And if everything goes well, then we'll submit everything in. And also, I fully expect additional work to be followed when everything is migrated, because there will be things like performance improvement that we want to do after that. There's some Pro Tools cleanup that may not, that will still be backward compatible, that we may want to do after. There are things like having like connection pool. If we want to have connection pool for gRPC, it's something that we can add after. So I fully expect like, this is not like, we make all the changes, everything works, and then move on to something else. I expect there will be some improvements, ongoing work that will be required on that. And that's about it as a plan. Any questions or anything?
You'll be taking care of the adapter changes as well, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's correct, because I already made those changes.
Okay.
In my first release, but once I submit the code for review, then anybody wants to to take over, that's great.
Okay. Do you see this more as a migration over a couple of releases, so that, say, in 2.9 or whatever the following release is, that you could run Kafka or gRPC?
No, it will be only gRPC.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Ken. Once we make the move, keeping both is not something that we want to do. And the reason we didn't do it in the 2.8 LTS is precisely because we didn't want to make such a big move. But now that we have an LTS out, we are a little bit more free in the sense that the next LTS is in a year and a half from now. And by that time, if we make the move right now, that's going to be an accepted, well-tested, fundamentally solidified change that there would be no issue. I totally agree with Ken's plan. We will the testing that he talked about is an initial BBSIM based test, which I think will help him even during development. I expect that to fail the first time we run this too. But having the test results and seeing where it fails, it helps us a lot. It has helped us in the OpenONGO adapter move. We're kind of doing the same thing. We do it in steps. We start with the BBSIM, then whenever that passes, we go and test it on hardware, and we go and test it at scale. So that is my plan for testing it. Any question?
No, just a note. Given the nature of the change, I don't think testing it against BBSIM or physical hardware will make any difference, because we're not changing the flows, we're not changing the OMCI part of the stack. So
I agree, Theo.
It fails.
I do agree.
It's good to test it again hardware too. Just I don't expect to see any difference in this case.
To me, there is a little bit of a difference in timing. With BBSIM, some things happen a little bit in different timing. With hardware, we might have a little bit more actual timing in there. like processing of the OMCI messages from the ONU and a longer reboot time of the OLT. You know, I'm not saying BBCM doesn't simulate those things, but I guess it's a little bit closer to the real world scenario. So even I don't expect any change, but maybe some small things might appear.
Yeah, in terms of the externally visible APIs, nothing should change. So that you guys are all right there. But where things I've seen, like in like for example, when I was doing the previous changes in the 2.7, there's obviously a timing change going over Kafka or going over gRPC. Over gRPC a little bit faster. So at that time, I was seeing some race conditions, and I fixed some race condition in the open when you go adapter at that time, and maybe that's already fixed now in 2.8. So those are all the kind of failures that there's a chance that we'll see things like that pop up.
Okay.
And that's expected.
And I think we will have to include the OpenONU adapter team as well, very much into this migration. They know it's going to happen, but having them involved in the reviews, especially, and questions and answers, you know, getting UCAN, especially tied with them, would really be beneficial.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's this would be it's a collaboration, so everybody will to have their say in it.
Okay, perfect. So I think as soon as you have something, Ken, just let me know. I can modify the images and put together the job with the custom Helm charts and all of that. We can work together on this one.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Any other question for Ken on this? Okay. One thing that I wanted to mention is that at this point in time, this is certainly something that we want to do in 2.9, but I do not have a final 2.9 roadmap that is being put together by us at ONF, the team at ONF, will be discussed at an operator TST meeting that I will call for next Tuesday, so the 20th, actually before the TST. I will call an operator TST meeting with a proposal from ONF in terms of 2.9 roadmap, and then we can discuss there, and then come up next Tuesday with a final proposal for this for the release at the TST. So I'll send out an email to the TST members today with an invitation for the 20th. Okay. So I still, on the agenda for today, I still have some multi-UNI testing to see where we got and what are the next steps there. So maybe Mahir, Hardik, can you give us some updates on this? I know we achieved, and this is for the benefit of everybody, we achieved multi-unit testing on BBCM hardware for the 2.8 release, but this is just what I would call basic testing, which is provision the subscriber on all the unis of a new, and remove the subscriber and like restart some containers. So that's in, but there's a lot more that we want to do. So Hardik, Mahir, anything you want to add on this?
Actually, yeah, the basic tests that you mentioned, we did on hardware and with BBC. But as you said, we need to do more tests. Actually, the restarts of devices and containers, etc. And we also have to improve the automated test framework to include the multi-UNI cases also. And perhaps Hardy can give the detail about this automated test things. I don't have the latest situation actually.
Yes, so on the multi-unit testing, currently we are testing on BBSIM for the ATT workflow, and we are testing the functional failure and the error scenarios on BBSIM for ATT. Then we kind of updated the Turk Telecom functional suite for the multi-UNI, and that's running on one of our pods at ONF. So that's the current status of the things. So all that is working with 2.8 release. And now going to the 2.9, the plan is to update the recovery and failure scenarios for the Turk Telecom that we have currently to be able to support the multi-uni. And then there is this test plan, which is been drafted by the Netsia folks, and I think Mahir, Imran, and Hussein. So yeah, the plan is to go through these and create the next set of tests to support the multi-unit testing that will have um, that will include the multicast scenarios, the multi-TCON scenarios, and yeah, I think it's going to be a detailed multi-unit testing. So please go through this document and just let us know if you have any comments or any queries on this. But yeah, that's the first draft given by the Netsia.
Yes, one thing that I'd like to also notify that I forgot about before in when mentioning the 2.8 release is that there was a known issue. The other known issue of the 2.8 release is that in case of multi-UNI, when you add a subscriber with the same TCON and you add another subscriber with the same TCON of the first one to two UNIs of the ONU, on addition, it works, so traffic passes and everything is okay. But upon the removal of any of the two subscribers, there is some improper cleanup of the elements, TCON, especially the TCON, and the jump ports, and that causes an issue where the removal of one subscriber actually does remove both of them, and the second one doesn't pass traffic through properly. So that's a known issue of vOLTHA 2.8. Mahir is already working with his team on it, and also I know he's in contact with Michael from the Renew Go adapter team to fix this in a way that we can backport it to 2.8 so that we can address that known issue as well. Mahir, any more detail you want to add to this?
No, perhaps a small correction. I mean, when you remove the service of the first UNI or one of the UNIs, then as far as I know, you still have the service and traffic on the second UNI. But when you try to add the first UNI again, then you have problem with this subscriber on the first UNI. So it doesn't affect the second UNI, but you cannot provision it again after an unprovisioning. So this is the failure as far as I know, and we're working on it. Yes, we have one patch on review. So Michael have some comments on it, but most of them are, say, cosmetic things. So we probably will address it in a few weeks. So test it and, as you said, backport it to data.
Okay, sounds good. Great, perfect. Okay, good. Hardik, anything else to add?
No, I think Mahir defined the problem well. The problem is with the reprovisioning, and yeah, and even from the test front, I'm planning to add both the scenarios where you use a different tech profiles. One is the ONU a single instance, and then with the multi-instance. So we'll have all the scenarios well covered.
Okay. Perfect. Great. Okay, good. So last thing that I had on the agenda today, then I will open up the floor, is that there was a discussion internally with the device management interface brigade about the PON ID. If you guys remember, some time ago we did this discussion. And the agreement was that we would actually do it within the DMI brigade, the DMI interface, because the idea is that vOLTHA can avoid caring about this information. We don't actually use it in vOLTHA for anything because it's completely abstracted for subscriber provisioning up north. So if the PON ID is configured via the DMI, you can just in vOLTHA can just read it, and we're good to go. So that's the solution we will use, and that will be implemented in the upcoming months. Amit, anything to add on this?
No, nothing specific. But if there are any questions, yeah, I think we should discuss those.
Okay.
So just to clarify, this means that vOLTHA won't work. This is a necessary thing to be done via the DMI before vOLTHA functions. I'm trying to understand this.
So, so this is like an optional feature, right? So not all operators might even want to configure something like this, a PON ID on a particular PON port. So the operation of vOLTHA is totally independent of this, right? It's just an optional feature where if an operator is interested in provisioning a PON ID for a particular PON port, the operator can do it using this interface, but that does not change anything in terms of use of the ports of the OLT.
Then it said it'd be used by vOLTHA. How's vOLTHA going to be using this then? Differently if it's not set via DMI, I guess is the question. What's vOLTHA's behavioral difference if it's set via DMI versus not set?
Oh, sorry, I didn't read that part. No, my understanding, Andrea, is that vOLTHA does not use this at all.
No, vOLTHA does not use this. vOLTHA cares about only PON interface IDs. They're normally zero indexed. This PON ID is some particular string pattern, a unique string pattern that operator configures, and this is this is sent over the plume and is usually used by the field deployment folks to see if they have correctly installed the ONUs and such devices. So
yeah, so basically this has no relation to the working of vOLTHA, right?
Yeah.
Except it was just added at the moment. Is there something anticipated here, Andrea?
No. I'm just, if in the future there will be some need, we should have the capability to read this, but it's not used at the moment, as Girish and Amit were pointing out. So
yeah, the issue is creating a dependency between these two where vOLTHA can't function properly without it. That would be, I think, a problem from my perspective.
Yeah.
Is there a need or a way to map vOLTHA resource IDs or IDs in vOLTHA to this in the DMI? You said the operators use this to identify if PON ports are deployed correctly. How do they map that information to vOLTHA information?
At the moment, we don't touch anything from the DMI except this PON ID, which is, again, not used by vOLTHA, so there shouldn't be any issue. And I don't think we should focus right now in if, go into the exercise of if this is going to be used.
No, the question is there a need to collate data between the two?
Not at
DMI
the moment.
and vOLTHA. Okay.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the last topic I had on the agenda for today. Maybe it was a little bit of a light meeting, but I would like to open the floor for everybody who has any questions or comments that they want to discuss with the group while we are all here. Before I forget, let me put the 2.8 release notes on the here. Okay. Then if there's nothing we should add, I'll gladly give you 29 minutes back, and I'll be happy to work with you on any topic. Just ping me. Ken will sync up offline on the status of the Kafka to gRPC. Again, if you want, register to the webinar or share it with folks that you think would be good. Please review the MultiUnit testing and MultiUnit testing document. And TST folks, expect a mail from myself later in the day where I invite you to the 20th at the 4 a.m. Central European time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.